Welcome to this panel, How to Win in the German Market. We have three fantastic entrepreneurs with us today, successful entrepreneurs who have conquered the German market. We will spend 40 minutes to discuss with them how they made the entrance into the market. I'm very curious to hear what they have to say. I'll introduce them from the left to the right. We have Babak Mirzaie. He's the co-founder of Expivi, as a 3D visualization and data platform for building, visualizing machine designs. We have Judith Huisman. She is the co-founder of Meetingselect. She's been doing this for a long time, 13 years, Meetingselect itself, and even before, she has been working on the hotel market. And we have Reinoud Haal, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Bloomon, online e-commerce platform that sells your bouquet. And my mother just got one this morning, so thank you for that. All three have very different sectors. They work with very different customers, but they all share a pretty clear vision of how to disrupt the current sector they're working in, whether it's the machine making industry or the online sales for physical goods, whether it's the marketing, the meeting places, the way we meet, the way we organize meetings, or the enjoyment of flowers. So we're really trying to get the diversity here into the panel. To get us started, just one question and only one figure as an answer, please. Out of 10 people in Germany, how many use your first name? I introduced you with the first name, but there it would be Frau Huisman, it would be Herr Haal, it would be Herr Mirzaie. Out of 10 people, how many use your first name? Babak?
Two. One.
Right. We'll come to that later on. I think it's already an interesting start to hear that there's a clear difference in the way we approach each other here in the Netherlands and the way it's done in Germany. And maybe to start off with, Judith, you shared with me in the preparation session an anecdote on that note. When you sat in your car, went back from a trip in Germany, and you said, "Oh, this went so wrong." What was that moment?
Well, one of those moments was actually the fact that one of our clients or prospects mentioned, "How's it possible that you email me, you talk to me as I'm your best friend?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's not the case." So the informal way of working we're used to in the Netherlands, we're used to in the United States, is so not appreciated. And also, if you talk to your employees and you say, "You can call me by my first name," what we're very used to do here, they find it very difficult. And it reminds me a little bit about the fact that I was a young kid and came at the house of my parents-in-law, and they told me, "You can call me by my first name." And I was like, "Oh, that's a little bit strange, you know?" So it's a very awkward situation for them to call you by your first name.
Okay. So treat your German customers as your parents-in-law. That's the first takeaway?
Well, I think with a lot of respect and hierarchy, that works very well, yeah.
It works very well, okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep that as a reminder. Babak, any headache moments you want to share?
Yeah, I think my headache moment was actually this January. We were invited one of big manufacturing in Germany to present Expivi. And after presentation, I got a lot of notes and comments regarding our presentation. So immediately I was trying to defend ourselves and come up with reason why we did this. When we were driving back home, I get a phone call because the CEO of that company is by chance a Dutch guy as well. So he gave me a call and I said, "I want to give you a tip because in Germany, they don't like if you explain something, right? So they're going to give you a comment, and what you explain, do not discuss with them, right? Just take the note, say, yes, you're right, and then fix it next time." And another thing was we shared the presentation with them in English. And I said, that is also a mistake because you need to tell with us in German because we're going to send this information to the organization. We do speak English, but the rest you don't know.
The rest doesn't.
So even if your solution is perfect, they're not going to touch it because they don't understand it. So that was also for me the big headache and also really learning curve to understand how to communicate with them.
All right. So don't don't answer too quickly.
No,
Another
no,
takeaway.
no.
Here we go. Reinoud, you had a different headache moment.
Yeah, I've had multiple over the years. I think
Pick one.
I think the biggest one was why don't they love us as much in Germany as they do us in the Netherlands? I think when Bloomon started in the Netherlands, the press loved us. 3 Dutch guys disrupting the flower industry, typical Dutch product, huge market. The press was all over it. Like, brilliant idea, you should do this. But when we shared that message in Germany, they were looking at us like, yeah, okay, good for you. 3 guys, flower industry, Dutch company, something small. Like, why is this interesting? And I think the insight we developed over the years was that they don't care too much about something being new or Dutch or edgy. It's more about what's good about it. They really care about sort of the quality that you deliver, that it's trustworthy, that it's a company with a good reputation, with good reviews. So the Dutch love a new story, the excitement around it. But we learned there that it doesn't work in Germany.
And you mentioned trust. I was on your website this morning again, this time with a mobile app, and there's a bit pop-up coming up, trusted shop, and then with a star rating, a good star rating. Is that something that you particularly added to the website because of that? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And does it help?
It does. We saw a clear difference when we didn't have it versus once we had it. I think these seals like trusted shops or reviews from customers, brands that endorse you, for example. I think all these elements are super important to build some sort of trust. That they see this is a real company, it's appreciated, they actually deliver what they say that they do. So we focus on that more in Germany than in other markets. I think Germany is leading, and we take those learnings and actually apply it to the rest of the markets.
And for Meetingselect, that is similar, right? I mean, the trust element is pretty large if you want to, book a meeting spot, a good location where the water is good, the service is good, the location is good. You don't, end up in a place where there's a renovation ongoing. Trust is key in your business as well, and in Germany particularly?
Absolutely, because when we started experiencing the German market with Meetingselect to have online bookings made easy, the supplier network came quite quickly. But what we realized is that German enterprises, they use our online booking tool to book all their meetings anywhere in the world. They like to have German references. And we started many years ago, and we tried to pioneer in the German market exactly what you mentioned. Like, we are here, we can do this, we're Dutch. On the way, like Linda de Mol or Sylvie Meis, we are able to conquer the German market. But it was a complete fiasco. And it was because we did it with Dutch people, not German-speaking people, and did not present our German clients well enough that we had German references. So when we pulled back actually our operations in Germany, we said, okay, this is going to be for the future a different strategy. We take a pause, and then we came back.
We'll come to that in a minute, because you basically started to say, well, we're going to take over a German brand and then build it from there. We'll come to that in a minute. Babak, you spent a lot of time building trust with some of the key players you thought were key. Share a little bit about how that went and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, I mean, with Expivi focusing on manufacturing, right? And I think the trust is one of the most important part. And without reference, they don't know where to start with. So when we're going and we're saying, okay, we're going to automate your whole process, they want to see reference from another German company that is actually happening. I think, but another most important is why they're asking for reference is that they also want to know if they're asking something, you'll be able to give the answer in the right moment in the right language. So the communication also with them is really important. I always say it's really hard to build a trust with the German guy, but if you have the trust, it's going all the way with you and it doesn't let you go.
But you need time for that, right?
Yes. I think our preparation was like 2 years because we started in 2017. We know from day one, Germany is really important country for us. So we have to build in relation, or we have to build in a strategy. How do we get there? And take us like 3 years to build the trust, talking with the right companies like manufacturers to be able to actually deliver it as well.
And just one follow-up question on that, because the SME, the machinery market, the building stuff, that's the key of German economy. It's 2/3 of the GDP is SMEs in that sector. It's huge. that's so hard to get a foot in the door.
Yeah.
If you're not part of that ecosystem.
No, but that's true. But I think if you look at in the Netherlands, we have so many opportunities to travel with RVO, right? So I think the first time we traveled was with Startup Delta in 2017. We took part of Hannover Messe. So for us, that was the perfect moment to see, okay, how the market react on it, right? Do people actually like it? And for us, okay, we know, for instance, SAP is actually the goal, right? If we can convince them they gonna see us and hear us, well, the small odds will follow. And that's actually exactly what happened is because now we build a relation with SAP. Together with SAP, we're developing new technology. And if the smaller companies see that the giant like SAP wants to work with Expivi and wants to use Expivi platform, well, then this make everybody's life much easier.
Yeah. Just we talked a little bit about the headaches that you had coming to where you are at the moment. One of the headaches everyone is Corona. Babak, you've been to Germany. You haven't since Corona, Reinoud, you just told me. But there's also opportunities because of it. Today, the German Postal Service announced that it grew by 16% compared to 13.5 FedEx in the US. So it's a pretty massive increase. All of you have a direct or indirect benefit of that movement. Can you share a little bit about what the impact was so far and what you expect in the next, let's say, 12 months? Is that going to change your business?
You want to go first, or
Judith?
Yeah, well, we're in the meetings industry, right? So I think if an industry is impacted, it's the meetings and events industry. So there are two things you can do as an entrepreneur, and that's exactly Germany related, but it's like, be said about it, or you can just start innovating in that field. And what we have done is, of course, bookings are much less, but what we see is a huge increase in domestic meetings. So Germany is a large country. It's like 5 times as big as the Netherlands. So lots of meetings are booked domestically. And of course, they're very small. So workspaces are becoming much more popular. And we see closures of offices, generating also opportunities to book. And what we did with looking at COVID, we launched a distance seating solution that you can have any setup you like for your meetings. And the system has an algorithm that calculates exactly how many people fit into a meeting space. And you can choose anywhere in the world the most perfect meeting space depending on the measurements of that specific country. And that has been very well embraced by the press.
You confirm that the 16% that would count for your business as well?
No, we're still down. But we expect that once COVID-19 is a little bit more common, how do you say, common?
Bouncing back.
Yeah, indeed. Then it will take flights. Yeah,
okay.
But we see a huge increase in domestic meetings, which was not there before.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Reinoud, online flowers?
Yeah, I think we're one of the lucky ones. People were spending much more time at home. And didn't have the chance to see each other. So we saw both people buying more for themselves to decorate their house, to make it a bit more beautiful if they were forced to stay at home, and gifts. People couldn't see each other for birthdays, for special occasions. So more and more gifts were being
Is it going to stay, do you think?
Well, we've seen the biggest peak is gone for sure. The biggest one was in the first few months, but after a while, you've gifted everyone you wanted to send something to, so then it stops. But we do see that it's higher than it was before. So I think people are much more used now to ordering online. They tried it during that period. Much more people tried it, and I think that is there to stay. I don't think we will see that going down. I think an uncertainty that we have is. How does the economy affect us? We're a flower product. It's not necessarily a necessity. You can live without it. So that's the one thing we're worried about. But in general, it's been for us a beneficial period.
Babak, is that do you see it already, or is that as a longer sort of run up to?
No, I think COVID for us was a huge impact, positive impact. We talk about the trust in German culture, right? I mean, they're still used to the account manager goes visiting the clients, talk and try to sell. With the COVID, they could not do it. People could not go to the shop and try to buy something. So now they figure out, okay, what happened with digitalization, right? How will we be able to still go forward, try to sell, not only B2B, but also B2C. And now they realize that actually when it comes to digitalization, they are really behind. So for us, it was actually great opportunity to go forward. So, okay, you know what? There are new ways to keep communicating. There are new ways to still keep selling your product. Yeah. So for us, it has a huge impact, and I don't think it's going back. I think the picks just pick up and.
But that's interesting. Well, one of the reasons why I'm asking is let's say the innovation readiness in Germany. You could argue, we just talked about business cards. Like, yeah, you still need a business card. Why would you? But in Germany, it's appreciated. Best with 2 doctor titles in front, and that's much better than anything else. The innovation readiness, is that a barrier, or is it shifting? I mean, the Corona has, I think, shown a little bit of that.
If you ask me, I think Corona changed the mindset, and also the new generation coming, right? Mm-hmm. That everybody is growing with the internet and iPad and Facebook. So those kind of persons are really, they are more confident to changing, right? Changing the mindset. And also they see the positive side of working digitally and being online, right? Last cost is communication easier. So if they figured out how much positive impact it have for them, they're not going to back and working old-fashioned way. And they have to take the step. In fact, from what I understand in Germany now, from the government, they help you if you want to go digitalization. They're going to actually pay the half of the cost if you want to use a 3D product configurator. I mean, that's enough that they also know, okay, now is the time and we need to move.
Would you agree, Judith? Because I mean, in your market, you need the office manager to believe in your product, right? I mean, these are the people who book the meetings oftentimes, and they're not the most innovative thinking
Well,
people.
What we realized is, we have many users, varying from office managers to marketing to any manager that would like to book a space. However, what we see is that Germany is different with the Netherlands, is that they are engineers. Germany has the DNA of the engineers. They like to build and construct. As long as it's a working product, they are happy with it. In the Netherlands, and maybe the United States, we're much more on the user experience, how flashy it looks. That's not so much important. And that was a really eye-opener for me. As long as you have a good machine and everything works perfectly, they're happy. So
are they happy to pay more for that, even if it's more expensive?
Well, that I would not say exactly. They just they want the best machine that's there, but not so much. It doesn't have to have all those nice colors or flashy stuff around it. I'm not sure if you can agree upon that.
No, well, I think it's have a positive impact on your organization as well, because I mentioned if they see how can they say they can save. So also they're going to scale down from all those big buildings to smaller buildings. So I think renting meeting rooms is going to be more important because they can rent meeting on demand.
Yeah,
I think that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, Reinoud, you said before when we talked that you're looking for the people who do that anyway. You don't necessarily need to convince people to buy flowers online. You want to look for the people who would do that anyway. So it's not of your concern. Is that you're just saying, well, we have our target group set, and we don't need to conquer more.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think we do have to build quite some trust that people want to try it. Like buying flowers online for yourself, especially in Germany, is quite a stretch. People are used to buying it on occasion, usually as a gift, or when it's a very special moment. You have people over, then you want to have flowers in your house. And we love people to buy flowers more frequently, not only as a gift, but make sure that they have flowers in their house all the time. So we really had to share that story, tell that story. And I think one of the things we saw in Germany was that using the online marketing channels to achieve that worked less well than it did in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, people, they saw a beautiful video image on Instagram and they were like, okay, let's go. I'm going to try it. It's all fine.
Looking at the way you operate in Germany, would you say that you are a German brand at this point? And I'm starting with Judith, because we talked before about the fact that you took over a company. You would argue, okay, so that makes you German, right?
Yeah.
In the eye of the consumer.
Yeah.
How much is it still yours? Are you German brand now in Germany?
We have kept the German brand. Yeah, because it was a well-known brand in the industry. It operates in a different vertical, which helps us to sell the Meetingselect brand easier. One is dedicated to agencies, and the other one is dedicated to corporates. So it was a long discussion internally what we're going to do with the brand. But for the reference, which are very important, and also the experience we had in the past, we used that brand, but we used the references of the German or DACH-based Germany, Austria, Switzerland clients to gain more revenue and business.
And how much, because of, I mean, you parachuted yourself in, saying, okay, you're part of us now, but you also kept things the way they were. And how much would you say is now turned more German than you would like it to be? I mean, you started a company with a DNA that is entrepreneurial Dutch, let's say. How much is still left?
If you look at it, I think even like 70%.
Okay.
We try to get the informal culture in because that's what we like. It's but also something we don't want to push because when people and especially employees don't feel comfortable, it doesn't make sense. And if you look at, we are just a little bit, I feel, upfront compared to in our industry with the German market, how we think in innovation. And you don't have to go that fast. And that's nice because it's also kind of peace and quietness in your organization that you don't have to always be the catchy newest app online, etc. So it's also good to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Are you a German brand?
It depends who you're asking. If you're asking me, I said, way too German. But if you ask my colleague in Germany, they said, no, we're still Dutch. So that's a common question. But if you want to be successful, I agree, you need to keep the culture, right? Where your organization grows. But if you want to be successful there, we need to adapt, right? Bring up the trust.
Do you need to speak the language?
Well, that's why
one question, my friend Reinoud. I'm asking. I'm saying there's a question from the panel.
I mean, if you want to grow, if you want to build the organization there, you have to speak the language, and it's not just because of Germany. We are in Munich, and Munich is a DACH area is really important, right? Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So if you do not speak German, then also you not have contact with all those countries, which is really important. So if you want to grow, then you need to speak the language.
You speak it, and you rather hire Germans.
I can order beer.
But how important is it to hire Germans, not German-speaking Dutch or German-speaking whatever, but Germans?
In my opinion, you have to hire a German guy.
Yeah,
because otherwise,
Judith is nodding.
Yeah,
Reinoud is nodding.
Yep.
Sort of, yeah, he's nodding as well.
Yeah,
okay.
Because otherwise, again, you don't understand the culture. It's not just a language, but there are so many common things. There's so many things to learn. If you want to hire a Dutch guy who speaks German and put in there, he needs 3 years to understand. We don't have the 3 years, right? So we need to go fast and go to the next level. So you have to hire a German guy or lady.
Follow-up questions here from the participants. Jouke Wadderson asks, any more things to share on B2B contacts, things, do's and don'ts that, avoid particular things. And one specific question from Sebastian Merson from Merchandise Essentials. He asked, particularly in Corona, how do you do that on LinkedIn, for example? Or do you need Xing, which nobody knows in the Netherlands, I think, but it's the LinkedIn for Germany.
They keep using LinkedIn a lot. As I've said, I think is really important. But I think you will be surprised how many people in Germany using Facebook. The way we connect actually with all those SMEs is through Facebook. But you have to make ads for German with German way of making the video, so they get interesting to it, and then it goes viral. Yeah. So they connecting us basically through Facebook and asking question. Okay, well, I had to have this solution 20 years ago. Okay, there was not the market 20 years ago.
Would you agree, Judith? I can imagine that.
Well, this is also for me a very nice eye opener for Facebook. But what we had is Xing. Of course, you've heard about it. And you see that the Germans are much more using LinkedIn. But if you like to be in their inner circle, you have to be on Xing. So I also created at that time a Xing account. But to be honest, that is the way to reach most of the people. But I don't use it that much. But it's better when you look at the team.
Yeah.
yeah,
For
German.
those watching, saying Xing.
Yeah. And if you look at employees, and maybe you can also add on, there is a German word that we all know, and that's pünktlich. And I think we are a little bit more flexible as Dutch people and relaxed when things need an answer or a question. And what they like, if they have a problem, and that's also the engineering DNA, they want a solution and they want it quickly, and it has to be good at once. That's why German cars are also, I think, so good and successful. I ride German car myself. You never have a problem with it. Nothing ticks, everything is well built. And that's also what the people like. They want to have, from an organizational perspective, if they ask you something or there's a situation, respond quickly. Also to customers, looking at the poll, respond quickly, respectful, hierarchical, with the hierarchy, and show your business cards.
Make sure your formalities are in
Make
order.
sure you keep your business cards for the German market or the Dutch area, even though you don't need them here. It's the first thing, like in Japan, they do. You watch the card, you take some time, and that's what they like.
All right, thanks. There's a question on the organizational charts. I want to give that to Reinoud first, because you open an office and then close it again. What are the considerations when you open an office? How do you decide where? There's another question from Walter Blom about the regions, the different regions of Germany. What are the sort of, talk us through your experience in your case in Bloomon, and then I'll come to Babak and Judith.
Yeah, I think Germany is always a very appealing market, right? It's a big one, so everybody's like, okay, I want to go to Germany. If you want to win in Europe, you want to be big in Europe, you want to conquer Germany. So did we think as well. I think where to start or where to pick an office, I think it depends a lot on where your core customers are. I think that's one. If you're in manufacturing, then most likely Munich is a very interesting area. But cities like Hamburg or in Northwest Rhine-Pfalz, also very appealing for different reasons. Cologne, indeed. We picked Berlin. Berlin is still more the startup hub, but it's not where the majority of our customers are. So I don't know if I would go back to Berlin again.
Who buys flowers in Germany? Just give us a hint. Where are your customers, if not in Berlin?
No, I mean, a lot of people buy flowers. It's the biggest flower market in Europe. But they're old, they're young. It's usually a bit more traditional. They oftentimes go more to the supermarket still. Supermarkets have a wider range of flowers than they have in the Netherlands. But what I would do with starting an office again is not hire a country manager, a native country manager immediately, but send someone from the management team, ideally, that has quite some experience with, in our case, Bloomon, knows how it works, make that person responsible for setting up the market, put one or two good local natives next to that person.
Local natives, here we go again.
Local natives next to them that do know the ins and outs of the actual market, but have someone with A, the seniority, and B, the knowledge of the actual company to make it successful. I think in the past, we've hired local country managers and sort of say, okay, just make it happen, make it work. That's tricky. That it sounds very obvious that doesn't really work, but in our experience, it's better to put someone who has knowledge of the actual company, has seniority, team them up with someone local, and then make it happen.
There's one question about: do you send an invoice from a Dutch company, or do you really have to send an invoice from a German company? Does that make a difference? Would you say?
They said it does make difference. They want to see the Dutch, German bank and German account. It's a GmbH, it's not a Netherlands BV.
Yeah.
So it does make, in B2B world, does make
a difference to have a GmbH in place. Yeah.
And the Deutsche Bank or Sparkasse.
They make a huge difference.
Deutsche Bank still? Still trustworthy brand. Good. Okay. And you did, coming back to the way organizationally how you organize things. Reinoud just talked a little bit about how Bloomon set it up. Any sharing thoughts on what worked, what didn't work?
Well, for us, we took over a company, so we had not to have those. We didn't have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So
related decisions.
Yeah. You can
policy.
keep it or you can change it and adjust it. But also for us at that time. We decided to keep it the way it is because the staff is in the area. Well, then home working came, of course, with COVID. So we're happy the way it is at the moment. However, we do see that with the expansion, we probably will pick Berlin because it's it's actually the place to be at the moment for, I think, SaaS and enterprise software solutions.
Babak?
Our approach, I think, was a little bit different. We are organization, make sure we have a couple of clients in Germany, so you have the trust and reference. And after that, we hire a local native with experience in the software, but we bring him actually in Eindhoven for the 2 months. So he was actually operating from Eindhoven with us directly.
Embedding, okay.
Yes, and then we send them back to the Germany. So I totally agree. If you just hire a senior guy and you assuming he's going to set it up, that's not going to work, because he also needs to understand the culture of the organization, but then what does work, what doesn't work, to speed up the process. And that's actually how we did it, and it's really successful so far. And now they know how to manage. They know what we want now, so we can hire more people, and they will train us. So they don't need to come back to Eindhoven and we train them again.
And there's a question about competitors. As Graciela says that they have a very clear idea about who the competitors are. It's a very dominated market, 70-80% market share on a particular competitor. Can you share? I mean, AR, VR, 3D space. It's a crowded space. How do you go about dealing with competitors? Are you going to chase them, or just leave them, just try to find your niche and promote that niche?
I think the most important part is, what is your value proposition? You need to find the button that makes it different. If you have find that button, then you can use that button either in Netherlands or in Germany. But if you hesitate, what is the proposition? What is the button? Then it doesn't matter what you do, because again, they going for it, especially if they understand you are not a German company, then they going with that other company anyway. So they have.
How aggressive do you have to be in Germany?
Well,
do you go into B2B business? In
Germany,
B2B?
nothing goes aggressive. In Germany, everything goes slow. Again, you need to speak the language, and about that, I'm not speaking the language, but tell what they want to hear and what you make it different. And also, if everything comes back to the process and making their actually have a value of your proposition. But don't push it, because again,
don't be too pushy.
Don't be too pushy.
Okay.
Again, in
would
Germany,
you agree? I'm just looking at
fast.
Judith and Reinoud. Don't be too pushy.
Well, in our industry, it's even though Germany is very big, it's a small country, or a small competitive landscape. And
people know each other.
Everybody knows each other. There are a lot of ties, but also what we experience is that they prefer to keep the business very German. So it's the best way is to move out as from the Dutch area and be not the face of the company. So they want to keep everything German, and otherwise I think they will compete tougher, and they want to move us out. So it's not like a nice embracement or, hey guys, that's cool. Let's get into our inner circle. They are like, you're Dutch, we can do it as well, and it works. So we find some more competitiveness from the Germans. I think due to the fact maybe Dutch,
so
maybe
you are
women,
a little bit more aggressive.
So I don't know what the situation is.
But what about the flower market? I mean, you would assume that as a Dutch company, you have an asset on flowers, right? I mean, that's good to have as a brand.
I would say
how's the competition?
It's a very competitive field. It's you have the traditional ones, but you also have quite some new ones joining, like us from the Netherlands, but you also have a party from the UK, from Spain. So everybody sees Germany is like, okay, I want to get a piece of this. So it's quite crowded. I don't think anyone is really winning yet. The winner is not there yet. I would say on the one hand, we all help each other because we want to drive that transition to online purchases. So there we help. But we're also competing with each other, and I think, don't expect.
Aggressive?
Yeah, I would say I'm maybe the most aggressive one in that sense. I think expect it to take long. Expect it that it's hard work. It's not going to go from 0 to 100 very, very fast. So
define fast.
Well.
I mean, Judith's in this for 13 years, and
Yeah, I think, but building up some brand awareness in Germany as the market is so big, and when you sort of start to get that word of mouth, especially in the consumer side of things, that just takes several years. It takes 2, 3, 4 years.
And Bloomon is 6 years old now.
We're 6 years old, yeah,
Mm.
of which 4 years in Germany, and we're still small, as in terms of brand awareness. So I would say there, be aggressive if you feel like you have that fit, that it works. Then just go all the way, and just.
And would you say that referrals are the best way forward? There's one question here from Tim Boraka. He says, what's the best thing? Do I pick up the phone? Do I send an email with the right formalities? Make sure you use last names, not first names. Referrals. What do you say? Is that the best way, or is it just a combination of things? Any particular tips?
Well, in our case, again, Facebook works perfect, but then they see something, and it's like that could work for me. So then they're sending the message. But what we have noticed in Germany is just also easy to pick up the phone and just give a call, as long as you can convince them, okay, that is a good product for you. They also could be able to create a meeting. But again, we are really B2B and not really B2C part. So I think for us, it's a bit different than how it works.
Bloomon doesn't call people.
Yeah.
But Judith, for you, it's probably both.
Well, what is good is that we have, and I remember when we had this pre-talk that you also mentioned, if you have a working machine in your own home country, then it's time to move ahead, and not when you're not ready. So in the years when we have built Meetingselect, we have a working machine, we have a great platform, and it's very efficient. So we have lots of ambassadors in our supplier chain. So hotel chains, German hotel chains, meeting venues, and they promote us as well. So I think referrals are very valuable. Absolutely.
And how useful is it for you, if that was the case, to work with a Dutch organization that is known in Germany? For example, think about SAP, think about Siemens or Bosch or whatever, companies or embracers that are in the Netherlands but have a good brand in Germany. Is that something useful? Have you worked with those examples? I mean, SAP.
Yeah, yes. For us, SAP was a strategic choice, right? And there's also a partner who enabled us to grow more in Germany. If you can find those organizations, you definitely need to try it, because again, how you'll be able to set up an organization in Germany if you do not have any knowledge, you don't know where to be or where not to be. So those collaborations is definitely helpful, and that also gonna helps you to be German, right? Because you're not going there as a Dutch innovation.
Do business clients in your case expect that you have other German companies in your portfolio?
Yes. Yeah. They're actually really asking for it.
Yeah.
They don't ask for reference. They're asking which German reference you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Judith is nodding.
For it.
Yeah. We work for a very large German company in the Netherlands, and manufacturer, and I'm not allowed to say names. But even though it takes some time to onboard that same client in Germany, with the German reference, because they do fact checks, they do references, but it's an easier way to get more business around. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, it helps. People talk about you nicely. It's a huge benefit. And
how hard is it? In your case, I'm not sure how easy it is to.
Well, if you deliver on what you say, right? If you have a beautiful flower product that you deliver on time, it stays fresh. They like it, and
but it's a consumer product. So who would be, or what would be a good German brand to have in your portfolio?
Good German brand, yeah. I mean, I think one thing that we did, for example, is partner up with companies that are larger than us in Germany. So we piggyback a bit on the reach of, say, a company like Rituals. They have quite some stores there now. They're more well known. So if we can partner up with them, have our product as part of what they offer during a specific period, then they see like, hey, I know Rituals, I trust them. Oh, they work with Bloomon, also Dutch.
Yeah,
but they work with Rituals should be okay. So those type of partnerships have helped us in the past and still do.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to switch for the last couple of minutes that we have to Germany as a whole. I mean, Germany is a federal system, different provinces, different cities, different ecosystems, different customer groups, rich and not as rich. Is there anything you want to share on location choices, be it for customers or offices? Anything you would think? Maybe I'll start with Babak, because he's based in Munich, which is the most expensive place you could possibly think of.
Yeah, that's correct.
Why on earth?
Because there are a lot of manufacturing in there. So so that's why we went there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's really close to Austria and Switzerland as well.
But it's about double the price from Berlin.
That's correct. But,
but it's still worth it.
But it's still worth it, because it's end of the day is how much business can you make. I mean, if you make a decision because I'm going to that city because it's cheap, or I'm going to that city because I can find someone, he is cheap, that's not the right choice. You really need to, where are your customers and how soon you'll be able to close the deal. That's
Berlin?
Yeah, we were
Yes,
in
but
Berlin.
no?
No, I think Berlin is great, as in there's a lot of talent. It's a startup scene. You can find good people. It is also relatively cheap when it comes to rent, cost of living. So that's a benefit. Salaries are adjusted for that. So that is a good reason to be in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
But Berlin is an odd city in eastern Germany in that sense. So the majority of our customers are much more in the west, in the south, in the north. So. Yeah, being in Berlin it needs to have the right reasons. Yeah. So I agree with what was shared.
Other good cities to think about in terms of good combination of ecosystems, talent, hiring, opportunities, salaries.
Well, I think the message is more like, where are your customers and where is the business taking place? And then you can, you're willing to pay more. For us, the main cities, that's where the most of the events and meetings are taking place, virtual conferences like these. So that's where we have to be, right? So,
which is Berlin and a couple others?
Well, yeah, Berlin, Hamburg, Frankfurt, Munich, and a little bit of Düsseldorf. Yeah.
All right. We have to wrap up. But I don't want to leave you without thanking you guys very, very much for your insights.